Zara sat in her floating chair for what felt like the 100th time this month. The marriage hall on Harmony Prime Space Station was grand and beautiful, with its crystal walls and floating lights, but she had grown to hate this place. Today, another group of potential husbands would come to look at her, and she already knew how it would end. The first visitor was a tall, blue-skinned man from the planet Rigel. He walked in with confidence, his chest puffed out like a proud bird. Ambassador Thorn, her uncle, quickly introduced them. "This is Princess Zara," he said with a forced smile. "She comes from the royal bloodline of Zelonia." The Rigelian man's eyes lit up with interest. Royal blood meant power, money, and status. But then his gaze dropped to her chair, and his expression changed completely. His smile vanished like smoke in the wind.
What happened to her legs?
He asked, not even bothering to speak to Zara directly. "A minor accident," Ambassador Thorn replied quickly. "But she's still perfectly capable of. I need a wife who can stand beside me at ceremonies." The Rigelian interrupted. "Someone who can dance at royal balls and walk through my palace gardens. This won't work." And just like that, he was gone. Zara watched him hurry away, his footsteps echoing in the empty hall. She had stopped feeling hurt by these rejections months ago. Now she just felt tired. The second visitor was even worse. A reptilian creature from the outer colonies took one look at her and actually laughed. "You're joking, right?" he said to Ambassador Thorn. "I was promised a princess, not a broken toy." Zara's silver markings, which normally glowed softly under her blue skin, flickered with anger. In her people's culture, these markings showed emotions. I know. They were practically screaming her frustration. "She's not broken," Ambassador Thorn said through gritted teeth. "She's still royalty. She still has value." "Value?" The reptilian man snorted. "What value? She can't even walk. How is she supposed to give me strong children? How is she supposed to represent my family's honor?" He left without another word, leaving Zara alone with her uncle. The silence stretched between them like a deep, dark canyon. "This is getting ridiculous," Ambassador Thorn muttered, pacing back and forth. 3 months, Zara. 3 months of failures. The council is losing patience. Zara stared at her hands, which were folded in her lap. Her fingers were long and elegant, with the same silver markings that decorated her face and arms. Once those hands had held weapons. Once she had been a warrior princess who could fight 10 men at once. Now she could barely fight the sadness that threatened to drown her every day. "Maybe they're right," she whispered. "Maybe I am broken." "Don't say that," her uncle snapped, but his voice lacked conviction. "You're still useful. We just need to find the right match. Someone who values political connections more than physical abilities." The way he said it made Zara feel even worse. She wasn't a person to him. She was a problem to be solved, a burden to be passed on to someone else. A massive, muscular man from the warrior planet Draconis. His name was Vexstar, and he looked like he could crush rocks with his bare hands. But when he saw Zara, something ugly flickered in his eyes. "Interesting," he said, walking in a slow circle around her chair. "Very interesting indeed. Does this arrangement work for you?" Ambassador Thorn asked hopefully. Vexter grinned, showing sharp teeth. "Oh yes. I like the idea of a wife who can't run away. Very convenient." Zara's markings flared bright silver with disgust, but Vexstar seemed to find this amusing. "I'll take her," he announced, "but I want the wedding ceremony within 1 week. And I want it understood that she'll be living by draconian rules once. She's mine." After he left, Zara felt sick to her stomach. The way he had looked at her, like she was a pet to be owned rather than a person to be loved, made her skin crawl. "Perfect," Ambassador Thorn said, rubbing his hands together. "Finally, a solution to our problem." "He's horrible," Zara said quietly. "He's powerful," her uncle corrected. "And he's willing to marry you despite your ... condition. That's more than we can say for anyone else." Zara wanted to argue, but what was the point? She was trapped by duty, by politics, by the expectations of her people. Everyone saw her as damaged goods, and maybe they were right. That evening, she made her way to the space station's observation deck. It was her favorite place to think, with its massive windows that showed the stars and planets beyond. She positioned her chair near the biggest window and stared out at the endless darkness. Her home planet Zalonia was visible in the distance. It looked like a blue jewel floating in space, beautiful and peaceful. But she knew she would probably never see it again. Once she married Vexstar, she would live on his harsh desert world, far from everything she had ever known. A tear rolled down her cheek, and her markings dimmed to almost nothing. She had never felt so alone in her entire life. "The view is beautiful tonight," Zara turned in surprise. A man was standing a few feet away, but he wasn't looking at her. With pity or disgust, he was actually looking at the stars, just like she had been. He was human, with kind brown eyes and dark hair that was slightly messy. He wore the simple clothes of a medical worker, and there was something gentle about the way he moved. "I'm sorry," he said, noticing her expression. "I didn't mean to interrupt. I just finished my shift at the medical center and came here too." "Relax. It's okay," Zara said, surprised by her own voice. She hadn't expected to speak to anyone. The man gestured toward the window. "That's your home world, isn't it, Zalonia?" Zara nodded. "How did you know?" "Your markings," he said simply. "I've studied different species biology. Zalonians have. Those beautiful silver patterns that reflect their emotions. And the way you were looking at that blue planet, it seemed like you were homesick." It was the first time in months that someone had noticed her markings for their beauty rather than their strangeness. It was the first time someone had tried to understand what she was feeling. "I'm Dr. Alex Chen," he said. "I work in the rehabilitation center here on the station." "I'm Zara," she replied. I was a princess. Now I'm just someone nobody wants." Alex sat down on a nearby bench, being careful not to tower over her. "That's a terrible thing to say about yourself. What makes you think nobody wants you?" Somehow, without meaning to, Zara found herself telling him everything. About the accident that had taken her ability to walk. About the endless parade of suitors who had rejected her. About the upcoming marriage to Vexstar that filled her with dread. Alex listened without judgment, without offering false comfort or empty platitudes. When she finished, he was quiet for a long moment. "You know," he said finally, "I work with people every day who have been told they're broken, useless, or unwanted. And I've learned something important. The people who say those things are usually the ones who are truly broken. They've lost the ability to see what really matters." "What do you mean?" Zara asked. "I mean that anyone who can't see your strength, your intelligence, your beauty, they're the ones with the problem, not you." Zara's markings flickered with surprise. "You think I'm beautiful?" "I think you're remarkable," Alex said honestly. "And I think you deserve better than being treated like a burden or a prize to be won." They talked for another hour about stars and planets, about medicine and healing, about dreams and fears. It was the first real conversation Zara had had in months, and she found herself laughing for the first time since her accident. When Alex finally had to leave, he turned back to her. "Would you like to visit my clinic sometime?" "Not for treatment," he added quickly. "It's just to see what we do there. I think you might find it interesting." Zara hesitated. Her uncle would be angry if he found out she was spending time with a human. But something in Alex's eyes made her feel hopeful for the first time in months. "Yes," she said. "I'd like that very much." As she watched him walk away, Zara's markings glowed softly with something she had almost forgotten how to feel. Hope. Maybe she wasn't as broken as everyone thought. Maybe there was still a chance for her to find happiness, even if it wasn't in the way she had originally planned. The stars seemed brighter somehow as she made her way back to her quarters, and for the first time in months, she was actually looking forward to tomorrow. 3 days passed before Zara worked up the courage to visit Alex's clinic. She had to be careful because Uncle Thorne was already suspicious about her improved mood. "You seem different," he had said that morning, his eyes narrowing. More hopeful. "Don't get any foolish ideas about avoiding this marriage." But Zara couldn't stop thinking about her conversation with Alex. For the first time in months, someone had looked at her and seen a person worth talking to. She had to know if that feeling was real or just her imagination. The rehabilitation center was in a quiet section of the space station. Far from the political offices and fancy meeting rooms, Zara's floating chair carried her through the entrance. She was amazed by what she saw. The walls were painted in soft, calming colors, and natural light streamed in through large windows. It felt more like a peaceful garden than a medical facility. "Zara," Alex's voice called out from across the room. He was helping an elderly woman from the planet Centauri learn to use a new walking device. When he saw Zara, his face lit up with genuine happiness. "I'm so glad you came." The old woman looked at Zara with curious but kind eyes. "Another patient?" she asked Alex. "A friend," Alex replied, and something warm spread through Zara's chest at the word. When was the last time someone had called her a friend? Alex finished helping the woman and then walked over to Zara. "Would you like a tour? I think you'll find this place interesting." As they moved through the center, Zara was amazed by the variety of people she saw. There was a young man from the mining colonies learning to use artificial arms after an accident. A woman from the gas planet Nebula was practicing speech therapy after a stroke. Children from different worlds were playing games designed to help them overcome various challenges. "This is incredible," Zara said, watching a group of kids laugh. As they played a game that looked like fun, but was actually helping them improve their coordination. "On my planet, people with disabilities are hidden away. They're considered shameful." Alex's expression grew sad. "That's unfortunately common in many cultures. But here we believe that everyone has value. Everyone has something unique to offer the world." They stopped at a window overlooking the station's central garden. Below them, several patients were working with therapists, some walking with assistants, others learning to use wheelchairs or floating chairs like Zara's. "Can I ask you something?" Alex said gently. "About your accident?" Zara hesitated. She had never talked about it in detail, not even with her family. But something about Alex made her feel safe. "It happened during a terrorist attack on our capital city," she said quietly. "I was leading a group of soldiers to evacuate civilians. When a building collapsed, a piece of debris hit my spine." She touched her lower back unconsciously. "The doctor said the damage was permanent, that I would never walk again." Alex nodded thoughtfully. "What do you remember about your body before the accident? How did it feel to move?" "Like flying," Zara said, without hesitation. "I was trained as a warrior from childhood. Running, jumping, fighting. It all felt as natural as breathing. I could feel every muscle, every movement. I was strong." "You're still strong," Alex said firmly. "Strength isn't just about legs or arms. It's about the spirit, the mind, the heart, and yours is clearly unbroken." Zara felt her markings begin to glow softly. "You really believe that?" "I know it," Alex replied. "Would you mind if I did a simple examination?" "Nothing invasive, just to understand your condition better. Sometimes doctors miss things, especially when they're not familiar with different species biology." Zara felt nervous but curious. "What kind of examination?" "Basic neurological tests. Checking reflexes, sensation, nerve response. Might help us understand what's really going on with your body." They went to a private examination room, where Alex helped Zara transfer from her floating chair to a comfortable medical bed. He was gentle and professional, explaining everything he was doing. "I'm going to check for reflexes first," he said, taking out a small medical tool. "This might feel strange, but it shouldn't hurt." As Alex placed his hands on Zara's legs to position them for the test, something unexpected happened. A warm, tingling sensation spread from where he touched her, moving up through her body like electricity. Her markings suddenly flared bright silver, and she gasped in surprise.
Are you all right?"
Alex asked, immediately concerned. "Did I hurt?" "You know," Zara said breathlessly, "it's just... I felt something. A tingling sensation. I haven't felt anything in my legs since the accident." Alex's eyes widened with interest. "That's remarkable. Let me try something else." He placed his hands on her ankle and applied gentle pressure. Again, Zara felt that strange tingling sensation, stronger this time. Her markings pulsed like a heartbeat, and she found herself gripping the sides of the medical bed. "This is impossible," she whispered. "How can I feel your touch?" Alex was quiet for a moment, thinking. There are things about interspecies biology that we still don't understand. Sometimes connections form between different types of beings that science can't fully explain yet. As he continued the examination, each touch sent waves of sensation through Zara's body. It wasn't painful, but it was overwhelming. She felt more alive than she had in months, as if parts of her that had been sleeping were suddenly waking up. "Can feel it," she said, tears streaming down her cheeks. "Can actually feel your hands on my legs." Alex's own eyes were bright with excitement and wonder. "This is extraordinary, Zara. Your nervous system is responding to contact in ways that shouldn't be possible according to traditional medicine." But even as they both marveled at this discovery, Zara couldn't shake a growing worry. If Uncle Thorne found out about this, about her visits to Alex, he would be furious. And her wedding to Vexstar was only 4 days away. "I have to go," she said suddenly, feeling panic rise in her chest. "I've been gone too long. My uncle will be looking for me." Alex helped her back into her floating chair, but his expression was troubled. "Zara, what we discovered today, ... It's important. Body is trying to heal itself. Don't you think your family should know about this?" "They won't care," Zara said bitterly. "All they care about is getting me married off, so I'm not their problem anymore." "But if you're healing, it doesn't matter," Zara interrupted. "Arrangements have been made. The contracts have been signed. In 4 days, I'll belong to Vexstar, and none of this will matter." She began to leave, but Alex caught her hand gently. The contact sent another shock of sensation through her, and her markings blazed so brightly that they illuminated the entire room. "It matters to me," Alex said quietly. "You matter to me." Zara stared at him, her heart racing. No one had ever said those words to her before. No one had ever looked at her the way Alex was looking at her now. Like she was precious, like she was worth fighting for. "I have to go," she repeated, but her voice was barely a whisper. As she left the clinic, Zara's mind was spinning. The sensations Alex's touch had awakened in her body were unlike anything she had ever experienced. But more than that, the way he had looked at her, spoken to her, treated her like she was valuable. It was changing something deep inside her heart. For the first time since her accident, she began to wonder if maybe, just maybe, there was hope for a different kind of future. But with her wedding only days away, she didn't know if hope was enough to save her from the fate that had already been decided. That night, she lay in her bed staring at the ceiling. Zara's markings continued to glow softly in the darkness. Her body remembered Alex's touch, and somewhere deep inside, she could feel something stirring. Something that had been dormant for so long she had forgotten it existed. Perhaps she wasn't as broken as everyone believed. Perhaps there was still a chance for her to find the happiness she had thought was lost forever. But time was running out, and she didn't know if 4 days would be enough to change everything. Zara couldn't sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she felt Alex's hands on her legs again. That incredible tingling sensation that had awakened something she thought was lost forever. Her markings glowed softly in the darkness of her room, pulsing like a gentle heartbeat. She had spent the last 2 days trying to understand what was happening to her. The medical database on her personal computer had very little information about her species' biology, and even less about interactions between Zilonians and humans, but what she found made her heart race with both excitement and fear, according to the few research papers she could access. Zilonians had the ability to form something called neural bonds with other beings. It was rare, mentioned only in ancient texts, and had never been documented with humans before. The bond supposedly allowed 2 minds to connect on a deep level, sharing emotions, sensations, and even healing energy. But the warnings in the texts were clear. Neural bonding was permanent and irreversible. Once formed, the 2 beings would be connected for life. Breaking the bond could cause severe psychological damage or even death. Zara touched her chest, where she could feel her heart beating faster than usual. Was that what was happening between her and Alex? Were they forming a neural bond? And if so, What would happen when she was forced to marry Vexstar and leave the station? Forever? A soft knock at her door interrupted her thoughts. "Come in," she called. Dr. Lyra entered, carrying a medical bag. She was a Zalonian physician who had been assigned to care for Zara during her stay on the station. Unlike most of her people, Lyra was kind and didn't treat Zara like damaged goods. "I came to check on you," Lyra said, settling into a chair beside Zara's bed. "Your uncle mentioned that you've seemed different lately, more energetic, more hopeful." Zara hesitated. Could she trust Dr. Lyra with her secret? "I've been feeling strange sensations lately," she admitted. "In my legs." Lyra's eyebrows rose. "With interest? What kind of sensations?" "Tingling, warmth, like electricity moving through me. And my markings have been glowing brighter than usual." Dr. Lyra leaned forward, studying Zara's face carefully. "When do these sensations occur?" Zara felt heat rise in her cheeks. When when someone touches me. Someone specific." "Ah," Lyra said softly, understanding dawning in her eyes. "Tell me about this person." So Zara found herself explaining about Alex, about their conversations, about the examination that had awakened these incredible feelings. Dr. Lyra listened without judgment, occasionally asking questions. "It sounds like you're experiencing the early stages of neural bonding," Lyra said when Zara finished. "It's extremely rare, especially between different species. Most of our people have forgotten it's even possible." "Is it dangerous?" Zara asked. "Ain't not. Dangerous, but significant. A neural bond is one of the strongest connections to beings can share. It can allow for healing, for shared strength, for deep emotional connection. But it also means that your well-being becomes tied to theirs." Zara's markings dimmed with worry. "What happens if the bond is broken? If I'm forced to leave?"
Dr. Lyra's
expression grew serious. "The texts say that breaking a neural bond can cause severe trauma. Depression, physical weakness, even death in extreme cases. But Zara, these are just old stories. We don't really know what would happen in reality." Before Zara could respond, her door burst open. Uncle Thorne stood in the doorway, his face red with anger. "What is this I hear about you visiting the Human Medical Center?" Zara's heart sank. Someone had seen her and reported back to her uncle. "I was just curious about their treatments," she said weakly. "Curious?" Uncle Thorne's voice rose.
ass.
"You have no business consorting with humans. Your wedding is in 2 days, and I will not have you embarrassing our family with inappropriate behavior. There's nothing inappropriate about seeking medical help," Dr. Lyra said calmly, standing up to face the ambassador. "She doesn't need medical help," Uncle Thorne snapped. "She needs to accept her situation and prepare for her new life as Vexstar's wife." At the mention of Vexstar's name, Zara felt sick. The thought of belonging to that cruel man, of never seeing Alex again, of losing this incredible connection she had discovered, made her markings flicker with distress. "I won't marry him," she said suddenly, surprising herself with her boldness. Uncle Thorne's eyes widened with shock. "Excuse me?"
I said.
"I won't marry him," Zara repeated, sitting up, straighter in her bed. "I won't be sold off like property to a man who sees me as nothing more than a trophy." "You have no choice in the matter," Uncle Thorne said coldly. "The contracts have been signed. The political alliance has been agreed upon. You will marry Vexstar in 2 days, and that is final." "What if I'm healing?" Zara asked desperately. "What if I'm not as broken as everyone thinks?" Uncle Thorne laughed harshly. "Healing? Don't be ridiculous. You've been examined by the best doctors on Zalonia. Your condition is permanent, but what if they were wrong? What if there's hope for recovery?" "There is no hope," Uncle Thorne said firmly. "Even if there were, it wouldn't matter. The arrangements have been made. Vexstar has already paid the bride price. You belong to him now." After Uncle Thorne left, Zara broke down in tears. Dr. Lyra sat beside her, offering comfort without empty reassurances. "I have to see Alex," Zara said through her tears. "I have to tell him what's happening." "That might not be wise," Dr. Lyra warned. "If your uncle finds out, double quotes. "I don't care anymore," Zara said, wiping her eyes. "I can't just disappear without saying goodbye. Deserves to know the truth." The next morning, Zara made her way to Alex's clinic one last time. She had to be careful, taking routes through the station that would avoid her uncle's security guards. When she arrived, Alex was working with a young patient, helping him learn to use a new prosthetic arm. Zara. Alex's face lit up when he saw her, but quickly grew concerned when he noticed her distressed expression. "What's wrong?" "I have to tell you something," she said quietly. "Can we talk privately?" They went to his office, a small room filled with medical books and research papers. Alex closed the door and turned to face her, his brown eyes full of concern. "I'm getting married tomorrow," Zara said, the words feeling like stones in her mouth. Alex's face went pale. "Married? To whom?" "A man named Vextar, from the planet Draconis. My uncle arranged it months ago." Alex sat down heavily in his chair. "Do you... Do you love him?" "I hate him," Zara said simply. "He's cruel and violent and sees me as nothing more than property, but I have no choice. The contracts are signed." "There's always a choice," Alex said firmly. "You're not property. You're a person with rights, with free will." "Not in my culture," Zara said sadly. "Especially not for someone like me, someone who's seen as defective." Alex stood up and moved closer to her. "You're not defective. What we discovered here, the way your body responds to touch, to connection, that's not broken. That's extraordinary." He spoke, he reached out, and gently took her hand. The familiar tingling sensation shot through Zara's body, stronger than ever before. Her markings blazed bright silver, and she gasped. "I can feel it," she whispered. "Whatever this is between us, it's getting stronger." Alex's eyes were wide with wonder. "I can feel it too, like electricity, like we're connected somehow. Dr. Lyra says we might be forming a neural bond," Zara explained. "Neural bond," Alex repeated thoughtfully. "That would explain so much. The way you respond to my touch, the way I can sense your emotions when you're near." They sat in silence for a moment, both understanding the magnitude of what was happening. Between them, finally, Alex spoke. "Run away with me," he said suddenly. Zara's heart skipped a beat. "What?" "Don't marry him. Come with me. We can leave the station, go somewhere your uncle can't find us, somewhere we can explore this connection, see what it means." For a moment, Zara allowed herself to imagine it. A life with Alex, free from politics and arranged marriages. A chance to discover what they could become together. But reality crashed back down on her. "I can't," she said sadly. "If I run away, it will cause a diplomatic incident. It could lead to war between our peoples. So you'll sacrifice your happiness." "For politics? I'll sacrifice my happiness for peace," Zara corrected. "That's what princesses do." Alex's expression grew determined. "Then we have to find another way. There has to be something we can do." As they held hands, both lost in thought, neither of them noticed the shadow that passed by the office window. Neither of them saw the figure that hurried away to report. What they had witnessed, Vextar had arrived early for his wedding. He was not pleased with what he had discovered about his bride. The door to Alex's office exploded open with a thunderous crash. Vextar stood in the doorway, his massive frame filling the entire space. His reptilian eyes were burning with fury, and his sharp teeth were bared in a threatening snarl.
So this
"Is where my bride has been hiding," he growled, his voice like grinding stones. Zara's markings flared bright with fear, and she instinctively moved closer to Alex. The moment their hands touched, that familiar surge of energy passed between them. But this time, it was different, stronger, more intense. "Get away from her," Alex said, standing up and positioning himself between Zara and Vextar. Despite being much smaller than the Draconian warrior, Alex didn't back down. Vextar laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "The little human wants to play hero? How amusing." He stepped into the office, his heavy boots making the floor shake. "I've been watching you too. Very interesting the way she glows when you touch her." "It's not what you think," Zara said quickly, trying to diffuse the situation. "Oh, but I think it's exactly what I think," Vextar replied, his eyes narrowing. "My bride has been having secret meetings with another man. My culture, we have a name for women like that." "Don't you dare," Alex said, his voice sharp with anger. She's done nothing wrong. Nothing wrong? Vexstar moved closer, and Zara could smell the sulfur on his breath. She belongs to me. I paid for her, and yet here she is, letting another man put his hands on her. I don't belong to anyone, Zara said, finding courage she didn't know she possessed. I'm not property to be bought and sold. Vexstar's expression turned dangerous. You will learn your place soon enough, wife. But first, I think you're human. Friend needs to understand the consequences of touching what belongs to me. Before anyone could react, Vexstar lunged forward and grabbed Alex by the throat. The human doctor was lifted off his feet like he weighed nothing. Stop, Zara screamed. But her voice seemed to have no effect on the enraged Draconian. In my culture, Vexstar said calmly, as if he wasn't currently choking the life out of someone, when a man touches another man's property, he forfeits his life. I challenge you to combat human. To the death. Alex couldn't speak with Vexstar. Massive hand around his throat, but his eyes met Zara's. Even facing death, his expression was one of determination, not fear. Let him go, Zara pleaded. He's innocent. This is between you and me. No, Vexstar said, dropping Alex to the floor. The doctor gasped for air, rubbing his bruised throat. This is between warriors now. One invoked the ancient rite of combat. Winner takes the bride. That's barbaric. Dr. Lyra's voice came from the doorway. She had arrived with several security guards, drawn by the commotion. It's the law, Vexstar said simply. Your station recognizes diplomatic customs. The human accepted my challenge when he touched my bride. I never accepted anything, Alex said, his voice hoarse. You accepted it the moment you decided to interfere in my marriage, Vexstar replied. Combat will take place in 1 hour in the station's main arena. Prepare yourself, human. It will be the last thing you ever do. After Vexstar left, the room fell silent except for Alex's labored breathing. Zara moved her chair closer to him, reaching out to touch his injured throat. The moment her fingers made contact, that warm, healing energy flowed between them. Alex's breathing became easier, and the bruises on his neck began to fade.
Act.
This is impossible, Dr. Lyra whispered. Watching the healing take place, I've never seen anything like it. We have to stop this, Zara said desperately. Alex can't fight him. Vexstar will kill him. Maybe not, Alex said thoughtfully, flexing his hands and marveling at how quickly the pain had disappeared. Whatever. This connection is between us. It's getting stronger. When you touched me just now, I felt your strength flowing into me. That's the neural bond, Dr. Lyra explained. According to the ancient texts, bonded pairs can share their life force, their energy, even their abilities. But it's dangerous. If you draw too much from each other, you could both die. Won't let you fight him, Zara said firmly. There has to be another way. There is no other way, Alex replied. If I don't fight, he'll kill me anyway. And then you'll have to marry him knowing that he murdered an innocent man. Zara's markings dimmed with despair. This is all my fault. I should never have come here. I should never have gotten you involved. Hey, Alex said softly, taking her hands in his. The contact sent waves of warmth through both of them. Don't you dare blame yourself. Meeting you, getting to know you, discovering this incredible connection we have, it's the best thing that's ever happened to me. Even if it gets you killed, even then, Alex said without hesitation. Some things are worth fighting for. They sat together, their hands intertwined. Both of them could feel the bond between them growing stronger. It was like a bridge made of light connecting their minds, their hearts, their very souls. I can feel what you're feeling, Zara whispered in amazement. Your fear, your determination, your love? Alex nodded, his eyes soft. I love you, Zara. I know it's crazy. We've only known each other for a few days, but I love you. I love you too, Zara replied, tears streaming down her face. Which is why I can't let you die for me. And I can't let you be forced into a marriage with that monster, Alex said. So we fight. Together, through the bond, you can share your strength with me, and I can share mine with you. We might not be able to match his physical power, but we have something he doesn't. What's that? Love, Alex said simply. And according to your ancient texts, love is the most powerful force in the universe. They spent the remaining time before the combat in Alex's private research lab, trying to understand their connection better. Dr. Lyra helped by providing what little information she could find about neural bonding. The texts say that bonded pairs can share not just emotions and energy, but also memories and knowledge, she explained. If you can establish a strong enough connection, you might be able to fight as one person in two bodies. As Alex prepared for the combat, Zara placed her hands on his shoulders. The energy that flowed between them was unlike anything either had experienced before. Zara felt her consciousness expanding, touching the edges of Alex's mind. She could sense his thoughts, his strategies, his unwavering determination to protect her. I can feel your warrior training, Alex said in wonder. All those years of combat lessons, sword fighting, battle tactics, it's all flowing into me. And I can feel your medical knowledge, Zara replied. Your understanding of anatomy, pressure points, nervous systems. We really are becoming one.
Oh.
As the bond deepened, both of them began to feel the strain. Sharing so much energy was exhausting, and there were moments when it was hard to tell where one person ended and the other began. Are you sure about this? Zara asked, her voice weak from the effort. I'm sure, Alex replied, though he too was struggling with the intensity of their connection. Whatever happens in that arena, we face it together. As they made their way to the combat arena, word had spread throughout the station. Crowds gathered to watch the impossible fight between a human doctor and a draconian warrior. Most came expecting to see a quick execution, but a few came hoping to witness something miraculous in the arena. Vexstar was already waiting, his massive sword gleaming under the lights. He looked confident, almost bored, as if the outcome was already decided. Last chance, human, he called out. Surrender now, and I'll make your death quick. Alex stepped into the arena, and immediately Zara felt his fear spike through their connection. But underneath the fear was something stronger: love, determination, and the unshakable belief that some things were worth dying for. I'm not surrendering, Alex called back, and neither is she. As the combat began, Zara closed her eyes and poured every ounce of her strength, her warrior spirit, her love, into their bond. Whatever happened next, they would face it together. The fight for their future was about to begin. The arena fell silent as the two fighters faced each other. Alex looked impossibly small compared to Vexstar's massive frame, but Zara could feel his courage flowing through their bond. Her markings blazed like stars as she channeled all her strength into their connection. Begin. The combat referee announced. Vexstar moved first, swinging his enormous sword in a deadly arc. In the past, Alex would have been cut down instantly, but something incredible happened. Through their neural bond, Zara's warrior instincts guided his movements. He dodged the blade with the grace of a trained fighter, rolling to the side just as the weapon whistled past his head. The crowd gasped in amazement. This wasn't what they had expected to see. Impossible, Vexstar snarled, spinning around to face Alex again. You're just a weak human doctor. I'm never alone, Alex replied, his voice carrying an echo of Zara's strength. We fight as one. As the combat continued, something magical began to happen. Every time Vexstar attacked, Alex seemed to know exactly how to respond. Zara's years of warrior training flowed through him like water, guiding his steps, sharpening his reflexes. But the effort was draining both of them terribly. Zara felt her energy being pulled from her body in waves. Her markings flickered as she struggled to maintain the connection. In the arena, Alex was moving with incredible skill, but she could sense his exhaustion growing with each passing moment. He's too strong, Alex thought to her, through their bond. I can't keep this up much longer. Don't give up, Zara replied, pouring more of her life force into him. We can do this together. But Vexstar was learning too. The draconian warrior was experienced in combat, and he began to adapt to Alex's newfound abilities. His attacks became more calculated, more vicious. When his sword finally connected, slicing across Alex's shoulder, the pain shot through both of them like lightning. Zara cried out, feeling the wound as if it were her own. Blood flowed from Alex's shoulder, and she could feel his strength fading rapidly. "You're dying," Vexter taunted, circling Alex like a predator. "Your little bond won't save you now." Alex stumbled, his hand pressed against his bleeding shoulder. Through their connection, Zara could feel his life force ebbing away.
Yes!
Desperate, she reached deeper into their bond, trying to give him more energy, more strength. But as she did, something unexpected happened. The neural pathways in her damaged spine began to spark with activity. The doctors had said her condition was permanent, but the incredible energy flowing through the bond was awakening parts of her nervous system that had been dormant for years. "Alex," she whispered, her voice filled with wonder, "I can feel my legs." Through their connection, Alex felt it too. "The bond is healing you," he realized, "but it's using all our energy. If we keep this up, we'll both die." Zara closed her eyes, feeling the sensation spreading through her lower body. For the first time since her accident, she could feel her toes, her ankles, her knees. The temptation to continue to fully heal herself was overwhelming, but in the arena, Vextar raised his sword for a killing blow. Alex was too weak to dodge, too exhausted to fight back. "This ends now," Vextar growled. At that moment, Zara made a choice that would change everything. Instead of using their bond to heal herself, she channeled every ounce of her remaining energy into Alex. Her markings blazed brighter than they ever had before. Casting silver light throughout the entire arena, Alex felt the surge of power flow through him, but it was different this time. This wasn't just Zara's warrior training or her physical strength. This was her very soul, her life force, her love, all flowing into him. With this incredible power coursing through his veins, Alex moved faster than any human had ever moved before. He dodged Vexter's killing blow and in one fluid motion, struck back. His fist connected with a pressure point on Vextar's neck, a technique that came from Zara's memories of her combat training. The massive draconian warrior fell to his knees, paralyzed by the perfectly placed strike. "Impossible," Vextar gasped, his eyes wide with shock. "Love makes anything possible," Alex replied. Standing over his fallen opponent, the crowd erupted in cheers, but Zara barely heard them. She had given everything she had to save Alex, and now she was paying the price. Her markings dimmed to almost nothing, and she felt her consciousness beginning to fade. "Zara." Dr. Lyra rushed to her side as she collapsed in her chair. In the arena, Alex felt their connection weakening. He turned toward Zara, his heart breaking as he saw her condition. Without hesitation, he ran to her side, placing his hands on her face. "Stay with me," he whispered, pouring his own life force back into her through their bond. "We did it. We won. Now we heal together." As their energies merged once again, something beautiful happened. The bond between them stabilized, creating a perfect balance. Zara's markings began to glow softly again, and sensation returned to her legs. Not completely, but enough to give her hope. "Like the marriage contract is void," the combat referee announced. According to draconian law, the defeated challenger forfeits all claims to the bride. Uncle Thorne stood in the crowd, his face a mixture of shock and something that might have been pride. I don't understand what just happened," he said to Dr. Lyra. "What?" "Love happened," Dr. Lyra replied simply. "What?" "The most powerful force in the universe." As the crowd dispersed, Alex helped Zara to her feet. She was unsteady, but for the first time in over a year, she was standing on her own two legs. "I can't believe it," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. "I can actually stand." "We can do anything together," Alex said, wrapping his arms around her. "Our bond makes us stronger than we ever could be alone." 6 months later, Zara and Alex stood together in a beautiful garden on Harmony Prime. Around them, friends and family from dozens of different worlds had gathered to celebrate their wedding. The rehabilitation center had expanded into a multi-species facility, with Zara and Alex working together to help others overcome their challenges. Zara's mobility had continued to improve, though she still used her floating chair for longer distances. More importantly, she had found her purpose. She had become a powerful advocate for beings with disabilities, showing them that their worth wasn't determined by their limitations. You know, Alex said as they exchanged vows, I never believed in fate before I met you. What changed your mind? Zara asked, her markings glowing softly with happiness. I realized that sometimes the universe brings two people together who are meant to heal each other, Alex replied. Not just physically, but in every way that matters. As they kissed, sealing their marriage bond, Zara's markings blazed with joy. In the crowd, Uncle Thorne wiped away tears he hadn't expected to shed. I was wrong about you, he had told Zara the night before. You were never broken. You were just waiting for the right person to help you remember your strength. Now, as husband and wife, Zara and Alex walked hand in hand through the garden. She moved slowly but steadily, her legs growing stronger with each step. Their neural bond had evolved into something beautiful, not dependence, but partnership. They shared their strengths, supported each other's weaknesses, and together they were unstoppable. What do you think the future holds for us? Zara asked. As they paused beside a fountain, God adventures, Alex said with a smile. New discoveries, new challenges, new ways to help people. And through it all, we'll face everything together. Together, Zara agreed, her markings pulsing in rhythm with her heartbeat. As they stood there in the garden, surrounded by beings from across the galaxy who had come to celebrate their love, Zara reflected on her journey. She had started as an unwanted bride, someone everyone saw as damaged goods. But through love, through connection, through the courage to fight for what mattered, she had become something far more powerful. She had become herself again. The neural bond between them hummed with contentment, a constant reminder that they would never be alone again. Together, they had faced the impossible and won. Together, they would continue to heal not just themselves, but anyone who needed their help. And in the end, that was the greatest victory of all, the triumph of love over fear, of hope over despair, of connection over isolation. No one had wanted the paralyzed alien bride, but she had found something far better than acceptance. She had found true love, and in loving, she had found herself.